Close your eyes, just for a moment. Imagine standing high in the Andes. The air is thin, the ground is cold, and mist rises from the mountains. In front of you, there is still water. The quiet body of water is La Magdalena Lagoon, and from here, one of the most important rivers in South America is born. This is the story of the Magdalena River. Every great story begins softly, quietly. At 3,685 meters above sea level, a small lagoon feeds the river's headwaters. This is the place where a river begins, the headwaters. At this height, the water is cold and restless. It's ready to move, restless. Slowly, almost carefully, the river begins to flow. It begins to move. It winds its way through the Andes. This means it moves in long, gentle curves. It winds its way through the Andes, squeezed between two massive mountain ranges, the Cordillera Central and the Cordillera Oriental. At first, it flows east. Then, it turns north. And in doing so, in turning north, it starts to carve a huge valley, a vast valley. To carve is to shape over time. This is the Magdalena River Valley, a long lowland formed by erosion. This is the moment the river stops being small and starts becoming powerful. This is a river that holds a country together. The Magdalena River travels 1,528 kilometers from the heart of the Andes to the Caribbean Sea. But its real power, its true power, isn't measured in distance. Its power lies in its drainage basin. This is the land where rainwater flows into the river. It's called the drainage basin. And this area covers nearly a quarter of Colombia. This is the striking part. This is the amazing part. About 2/3 of Colombia's population lives in this basin, in this drainage basin. So when the river rises, or when it floods, or it changes, or it suffers, millions of lives feel it. That's why the Magdalena became Colombia's main artery, its most important route, its main artery, the river that kept the country alive and connected. Before roads, before railways, and before aeroplanes. The Magdalena was the way in and the way out. Long before Spain, long before Colombia existed, indigenous peoples lived along this river. On the western banks were Carib-speaking groups, like the Panche. On the eastern side lived the Muisca. They didn't call the river Magdalena back then. They called it Yuma. This is a word that carried meaning. It's not just river, but great river, sacred water, or source of life. For them, the river was a lifeline. This is something essential for survival. It gave them fish, fertile land, transport, and connection. The river wasn't something they owned, it was something they belonged to. Forward to 1501, Spanish explorer, his name was Rodrigo de Bastidas. He arrived, he saw the river, and he gave it a new name, Magdalena, after Mary Magdalene. And with that name came a new chapter. The river became a gateway. This is a route into new territory, a gateway. And this allowed the Spanish to push inland, to move deeper into the country, to push inland. Soldiers, missionaries, traders, settlers, they all followed the current, the flow of the river. For centuries, the Magdalena was the only connection between the mountains and the Caribbean coast, between Bogota and Cartagena. Ideas flowed through the river. Flowed through is a phrasal verb. This means passed along. So ideas flowed through, so did power, and so did wealth. By the 1800s, the river changed again. Steamships arrived. For the first time, boats moved upstream with power, carrying coffee, tobacco, cattle, and people. The river helped fuel the national economy. To fuel in this context means to drive forward. But progress has a habit of replacing itself. Roads expanded, trucks arrived, and air travel took over. So by 1961, steam navigation on the Magdalena had ended. The river didn't disappear, of course, but its role faded away. This is a phrasal verb. It means it slowly declined. But of course, even without steamships, the river remained alive. Its waters hold hundreds of fish species, many endemic. This means found only in one place. From icy paramos to tropical wetlands, the river supports entire ecosystems. But over time, the Magdalena has come under pressure. This is an idiom. Come under pressure means become threatened. Pollution, dams, overfishing, deforestation. All of this has taken a toll, caused long-term damage, taken a toll, an idiom. We have an old saying in English. We say you don't know what you have until it's gone. And the Magdalena reminds Colombians how true that is. Then something unexpected happened. After decades of decline, the river began to change again. Passenger cruisers returned. Riverboats now travel between Barranquilla and Cartagena, stopping at historic towns along the way. This isn't about transport anymore. It's about revival. This means renewed interest, revival. It's about memory and about respect. The river is being reimagined. This means to be seen in a new way. Reimagined, not as an old highway, but as a cultural and historical treasure. The Magdalena River teaches us something powerful, something meaningful. Geography shapes history. Water shapes people. And stories flow, just like rivers. From Yuma to Magdalena, from canoes to steamships, from decline to renewal, the Magdalena has never stopped moving. And as long as it flows, Colombia's story continues alongside it. Some of the key vocabulary from today: headwaters. This is where a river begins, the headwaters. Drainage basin. land that feeds water into a river. Endemic means native to one place only. A gateway, that's a main entry route. Revival, we talked about revival. That's the return of activity or interest. And reimagined, that's when something is seen or used differently. Some of the phrasal verbs we used. Wind its way. It means to move with curves. The river winds its way through the Andes. To push inland is to go deeper into land. Flow through. Pass along. Flow through. And to fade away is to gradually disappear. We heard some idioms and sayings. The main artery. This is the most important route. A lifeline is an essential source of survival. And to come under pressure, this is to become threatened, take a toll, cause damage over time. And you don't know what you have until it's gone. This is a way of saying we need to appreciate what we have now. That's everything. Thank you for listening. This is Listen. Please share, subscribe. See you in the next episode. Bye bye for now.